Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I have to rethink that line a little bit there on our intro because it hasn't been daily for the last little while. We've had so many crazy things going on. But as most of you know, I run actual businesses. And so my passion is personal development, financial education, and entrepreneurship. But sometimes when you're transitioning live events to virtual events and you're developing new marketing funnels and you have an apparel company and you're doing all these things, it just ties you up. And so I apologize for not necessarily being there for you. Hopefully you've been able to dig in some of the past episodes. But I had something I just had to get on today with you and talk about, and that is that so many people that I've talked to lately are getting wrapped up in the concept that they're not where they want to be, and that they're overwhelmed, and that they don't know where to start, and they don't know what to do, and it reminds me of one of my favorite books by Aubrey Marcus, and it's called Own the Day, Own Your Life by Aubrey Marcus. He's the founder and CEO of Onnit. And what's really nice about this book, in fact, I'm going to read you a little bit off the front cover. Relying on the latest scientific research and traditional practices from around the world, Own the Day, Own Your Life delivers a holistic optimization philosophy. If you learn to own one day, imagine what would happen when you string 7 of them together. How about 30 or 60 or 365? It's a no-bullshit guide for the everyman and every woman, packed with pragmatic and effective strategies that empower you to enjoy your life. Notice he said enjoy your life, take charge of your health, and own the day. And here's what I love about this. I want to recommend that you pull this book out. I want to recommend that you pull the book out because it's going to give you ideas and this concept that if you will just take today, listen to me for a second. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. My dad used to tell me that growing up all the time. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You've got to just grab the day, seize the day, carpe diem, and you've got to execute because anyone can own the moment. Anyone can own the day. And if you do that consistently, that's all it takes to create the life you want to live. And so I'm going to read you a couple things out of this book in order to inspire and motivate you to move forward. And so the introduction of this book says nutrition, mindset, productivity, performance, fitness, sleep. When we look through a keyhole at each of these areas, we forget that they are interconnected and interdependent. They are spoken on the wheels of the day. They are spokes on the wheel of the day, every one of them necessary to ride the 24-hour cycle into a life worth living. Because a day isn't just about what you put into your body, how you look in the mirror, how much production you squeeze from 8 hours of work. It's about how you feel, whose lives you connect with, and how much fun you're having along the way. So don't get overwhelmed. What I love about this book, and this is a monster book, it's a big book, is it talks about all the different areas. And I think it'll inspire you in several different areas, but I really want to emphasize the fact that you got to get started from the get-go and own it. Or right now, take the next hour and get yourself grounded and move forward. So I'm going to give you a couple of little excerpts from the end of the book. It's kind of, not that it's going to give away any kind of punchline because it's kind of a chronological day, but it has some really, really good things that I think will help you. It talks about the Gates of Fire, which was a book written about the Spartans, 300 Spartan men who made a stand at a place in Greece called the Hot Gates. Some of you have seen the movie The 300. They faced an army of 100,000 Persian fighters. They didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. They died fighting to the last man because they were Spartans. How did they defeat resistance? Silence those voices that told them they could never win, that there was no point, and that it was hopeless. They had an ethos. Never give up, never surrender. Easier said than done. Ask anyone what the hardest thing is about doing something new or different or unheard of, and they'll tell you it's sticking with it. Well, the Spartans stuck with it. They always did. Not just for themselves, but for their loved ones. The best chance they had to keep their beloved safe was to let every enemy know that if they crossed the boundary into Sparta, they better be prepared for war to the very last man. That simple, singular ethos was what helped the Spartans send their message not just to the world, but down through history. That is the beauty of singular focus and the reason we are focused on a single day. You're going to get results the day you start. The moment you start, you'll get results. 40 minutes after you wake up, you're going to feel different than you've ever felt. That difference will compound like interest in the bank, and then the real transformation will begin. To own it, resistance is a cunning adversary. Make no mistake, it is also a necessary force. He's talking about resistance in your day. What kind of game would we be playing if there were no monsters? How could we adapt to stress if there was no stress? How could we seek enlightenment if we were already enlightened? There is no light without dark, after all, no hot without cold, no silver lining without the black cloud. But just because resistance is necessary, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do everything in our power to kick its ass. Our goal is to own our life, not get owned by it. That's why we're going to help build an ethos in this chapter of the book, and we'll give you the encouragement you need to silence the voices and overcome the resistance. But building an ethos isn't the only technique you're going to need. You'll need to visualize your success. You'll need to employ positive self-talk and rid yourself of self-ridicule. You'll need the support of your tribe. But the first step you'll need to take may be the hardest of all. It is for me. It's forgiveness. Now, I want to just really quick read you. We're going to be short on time here, but I'm going to read you this little section on forgiving yourself. I think it's going to be appropriate for a lot of people because there's almost a non-starter for some people because of this step. And I agree with the book. I agree with Marcus Aubrey about this. And so I want to read this to you. And then, what I may do is highlight a few of these chapters and things later in the week, but I have just a lineup of content that I want to discuss with you about not only just feelings, but execution and marketing throughout the week. And we're going to talk a little bit about developing an alter ego, which is something that many, many professional athletes do, like Kobe Bryant did with Black Mamba. And so let me just read this to you, and then we'll call it a day, and I'll talk with you a little bit more tomorrow. This little section's called Forgive Yourself. All you can do is your best. There's a good chance you've tried diets and transformational programs before and failed. Guess what? So has everyone. But you're not the same person you were then, and this is not the same program. You're the person who learned from those experiences, who appreciates owning life even more than you did then. For that knowledge to turn into wisdom, though, you have to forgive yourself for all your past failings. You did your best then, and your best now is different. There is a scene deep in the first season of one of my favorite shows on television, Billions, when genius fund manager Bobby Axelrod is talking to his brilliant psychotherapist about why he uncharacteristically blew a trade that cost his fund $1 billion. After an hour of banter, he realizes that it was his guilt surrounding the manipulation of his friend for his own financial gain that caused him to subconsciously seek retribution on himself. He needed to pay the price to level out his internal scales of justice. This isn't just something from fiction, though. I've seen it 100 times. It's the motivation behind many forms of self-destruction or sabotage. Whether it's love or in business or health, if we don't feel like we deserve an outcome, or even worse, like we deserve to be punished, we'll manifest that outcome with the subconscious choices we make. If we don't forgive ourselves, all that knowledge from our past failures will instead petrify into useless information, and we'll continue to believe deep down that we deserve to get beaten down by life. We'll find ourselves again and again on the short side of the trade. But if we truly forgive ourselves completely, we'll know that we deserve better, and we'll create the kind of reality that allows billion-dollar empires to blossom from blue-collar roots. I wanted to kind of emphasize that with you because I really feel like it's so important for us to identify what subconsciously might be holding us back. We've talked a lot about that, but I really, really believe that if you will take time and you'll identify what's holding you back and you'll forgive yourself for that, you'll be much better off, and you'll have an easier chance, an easier time, a more successful route towards winning the day. And so that's my message for you today. I want you to realize that it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, that's in the past. It doesn't matter what kind of stress and anxiety you have coming up in the future, because it hasn't happened. The bottom line is all you can do is stay present in the moment and execute with the God-given talents that you know that you have, and I know you have. And if you'll do that, and you'll focus on the moment, you'll focus on the day, and you'll begin to string those together into a massively successful life, business, relationships, whatever it is that you're focused on right now. It reminds me of a letter I just got from my son who's in Air Force boot camp, and he said, man, I never realized how peaceful it was until I got here, because they have guys screaming in his ear every day. But the thing is he's outside his comfort zone, and he's growing every day. And I've told him in a letter that I sent him, I said, every single day you're becoming a better and better person, and every single day you need to recognize that, and you need to recognize that you are not the person you were yesterday. You're better than that person. You're developing, you're growing, you're experiencing, and you're learning. And I would have that same message for you. You are growing and learning every day. So let's do what we can to own the day. Let's do what we can to own your life and create the life that you are meant to live. My name is George Wright III. This has been the Daily Mastermind. Have an amazing day.